to discuss Star Trek Voyager on The Captain's Couch. Mix your favorite cocktail and join Mark and Matt at Cinema Z to discuss the films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Pour a cup of tea, Earl Grey, hot, and listen to Stephen and Keith as they discuss the next generation of Trek on Galaxy Class. Get yourself something caffeinated and learn an interesting bit of history with Chrissy and Jason on History with the Zalogis. Have a bowl of Flomeek soup and join Thad and Chrissy and a guest to discuss new episodes of Star Trek as they are released on Infinite Diversity. Have something to sharpen your mind and put your Trek knowledge to the test with the Treksperts quiz. Take a bite out of something that didn't seem edible and join Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley covering all things in New Trek, including that show that is Trek in all but name, The Orville, on Union Federation. Get your Sunday brunch ready for The View Screen, a live weekly talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy with featured guests talking about all things Trek. Pour a glass of wine and spill some tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea, Bev? And Patreon members get to pass around that green bottle of Aldebron whiskey once a month on the round table, and they can listen to It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moments.
You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Journey. But everything ends someday.
The Discovery is my home, my family. We've always been able to find answers together.
Being a part of a crew, being where you need to be, when you need to be, that's Starfleet.
Last dance?
I shall follow your lead.
The greatest treasure in the known galaxy is out there. It's more important than you can imagine.
We're on a search for one of the greatest powers ever known.
It could be very dangerous in the wrong hands. This clue is the most important thing. We have to keep it safe.
Let's fly. Crew, the family I found in Starfleet, we made a pretty good team.
Well, hello there, listeners, live viewers of the replay, however you are enjoying this program. My name is Davey, and I am so excited to welcome you to the first episode of Let's Fly. This exclusive limited run series by BQN will recap each episode of Star Trek Discovery's final season. Every week, a panel of BQN hosts and Patreon subscribers will join our YouTube and Facebook Live audiences to deep dive into each new episode after it airs. You can catch replays on both platforms, and an audio podcast will also be available after the live show. But wait, that's not all. We want you to be a part of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you can join us on the panel as a BQN Network patron. As a patron, you get to be on the show with me today or at any time through the run, and share your own insights, ask questions, and contribute to our lively discussions on all things Star Trek Discovery, the final season. So if you're ready to get more involved, become a patron today. You can do so at patreon.com/BQN. Sign up for as little as $1 a month, and you will get the invites to be on future episodes of Let's Fly, which is pretty exciting. We also, if you are not a patron and you're just here to enjoy the show, please come in and get comfortable. We welcome your comments in the live chat, which will be displayed on screen, and we will engage and interact with any commentary that we get. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Davey, Discovery doesn't start for like another week, and you're absolutely right. But today, we're going to give a bit of a sneak peek of what's to come. We're going to be reflecting on the Discovery journey so far and making our own predictions on what is to come in the final season. So, let's meet today's panel without further ado. Let's get them. I believe we've got, there he is Matt Harker, one of our Patreon members. I believe we've also got Rhea, we've got Jim, we've got Peter, and we've got Jonathan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the first episode of Let's Fly. I'll start. I'm going to quickly go to Rhea as a fellow BQN host. So Rhea, you're actually like right in the middle of your rewatch at the moment. How's it going for you?
So I'm halfway through season 4. Discovery's never been my favorite. I'm super excited for season 5 though, and I fully expect it to be excellent. But I've noticed during my rewatch, the last couple seasons just don't find it quite as interesting. But I'm not into dramas and all that. But yeah, no, actually, I'm so excited now doing this rewatch, and I'm actually going to the premiere in New York City on Wednesday. So yeah, super duper excited for Disco season 5, which is hilarious because it's the one series I haven't loved. Well, I know season 5 is going to be great.
I mean, I maybe asked you first intentionally because I have been following your rants on Facebook as you've been rewatching. That's really exciting about going to the premiere, though. Hopefully we get you back on either next week or on a later episode to get your take on how the premiere goes. That's really cool. And Matt Harker, have you done a rewatch of Discovery of late?
I have. I am, let's see, I think I've got maybe 3 episodes to go in season 4. And I hadn't realized that, gosh, it's been 2 years since they originally aired.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's been a good refresher, and I'm really excited for the new season. I have heard some minor hints, which I will not describe here, about this mystery. What do they say? The thing from centuries before in the publicly available previews. I can't wait to find out what it is.
Excellent. And look, this is for people who join later episodes, there will have to be a spoiler alert warning. You need, like, when we come back next week, you will need to have watched the episode to understand what we're talking about. Discovery's, I find it's not the easiest show to rewatch. Jim, do you kind of feel the same? It can be, because it's not as episodic.
Very much agree. I think it's one of the reasons I haven't done a major rewatch of it ever. Because the plot lines go from through multiple episodes before you finally get a decent conclusion, basically.
Yeah. It's not like you can just kind of throw it on in the background like I tend to do with TNG and Voyager and all that. It's concentration Trek. you need to focus on it. What about you, Peter? Have you done a rewatch of late?
Actually, I admit I have not. It's pretty much for the same reason that Jim mentioned. I think because it's just, as you mentioned, it's a little bit more kind of focused, and because of the serialized nature of the stories, kind of watching it all in one shot. So I haven't yet, but I am definitely looking forward to season 5. It's been several months since we've had, any new Trek episodes. Um, so it's a great time, and especially since it has been a few years since we've left off with the crew and with that story. So definitely looking forward to it.
Excellent. And Jonathan, where does Discovery rank for you in terms of overall Star Trek? Is it right up there? Has it etched itself as a classic for you yet in Trek, or has it still got to prove itself, or does it need to mature with age like some other former series have?
I was thinking about this before we got started here, and I think in some ways Discovery is going to be looked back upon as one of the most underappreciated Star Treks because of everything else what we get out of it. We are currently living in the golden age of Star Trek right now, and that is solely the result of Star Trek Discovery and what that cast has done to bring us out where we are now. Who would have thought that, in that first episode where you're seeing Michelle Yeoh, that we'd be talking many, many years later about a separate spin-off movie based around her character?
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Exactly, and the fact that we still get Michelle Yeoh as now an award-winning actor who is in demand in Hollywood right now, coming back to our beautiful franchise. Can't wait to get more of that.
And I just want to point out that Captain Giorgio is my future descendant.
So
they lose
don't
the
piss you
papa
off
at some point, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, the papa referred to a priest at some point in my lineage, and by Captain Giorgio, Mira Giorgio, that's long gone.
All right, we'll try to stay on your good side then. And remember, if you're in the chat, we want to hear from you as well. We do have some viewers there. We have Lynn, who is a fellow Melburnian. Welcome, Lynn. Tom Van Scotter, who is one of our network patrons. Tom, hello there. And we've also got Iker. There we go. Thank you. A big hello to Rio from Iker. So, hey, everyone. So, yeah, I guess my first kind of topic is a little bit of what we were just talking about then. And yeah, so in 2017, Discovery, beamed Star Trek back onto our TV screens, arguably where it belongs. We got a diverse cast of characters, a starship like none we had ever seen before, and Klingons that were straight out of Lord of the Rings. From the beginning, it has polarized fans for many different reasons. So, leading on from what we were just talking about with Jonathan, I want to open it up to our panel today. What camp were you in? Did you love every second? Did it grow on you over time, or have you barely tolerated it, and why? I'll start with Matt.
Okay. I would say, I approached it, all those years ago with an open mind. And I can, I having just done a rewatch of season 1, maybe 6 weeks ago or so now, I can remember being a little skeptical because of just the change in the look, kind of like how I recall feeling similarly during the 2009 reboot, the start of the Kelvinverse. But it pretty quickly grew on me. Thankfully, Tilly did. At first, I did not like Tilly. I think Tilly changed for me when we got to see Captain Killy in the Mirror Universe. I was sold. And I was cautiously optimistic, and I've grown to enjoy it more and more as the seasons have gone on.
Yeah, Tilly's. I know a lot of people who have a love-hate relationship with Tilly. Ria, I'm going to leave you till last on this one because I really want you to kind of save up a lot of your thoughts. But Peter, what about you? What camp have you sat in with Discovery?
I think I've mostly been in the grown over time camp. I think in the beginning, because it is so different than past Trek, it took a little getting used to But I think after watching it, over the few seasons, I've little by little, I've kind of adjusted to that style, or I kind of accepted that style. Maybe that might be more accurate. I say that is what Discovery is. That is what this particular show is. So, and I think for me, it's almost like each season has gotten progressively better. So I've enjoyed season 4 more than season 3, more than season 2, more than season 1. So it may be part of the accepting it and growing over time. But I did want to sort of echo what Jonathan said before, because one thing I am grateful for Discovery is that it restarted the franchise after 12 years after the end of Enterprise on TV. So, and it had it started the spin-offs, and it made sort of Star Trek sort of for the current generation, and giving it as introducing a lot of new fans who didn't watch the 90s Trek or the Berman era or TOS, giving them the Strange New Worlds, and then allowing the other spin-offs to appear. So for that, I'm very happy for Discovery, and I always kind of connect that to the show.
Totally. I heard someone say recently, and I mentioned this on another podcast, when you go back and watch Discovery Season 1 now, do you maybe have a different lens on it? Because when we all first watched it back in 2017, there was this expectation because Star Trek was back and we wanted it to be really, really good. And now, I don't know, I go back and I watch it now, and I was critical of it at first too, but then I go back and watch it, I'm like, actually, you know what? This is actually a really entertaining season of television, and the storylines are a little all over the place, but yeah, I don't know. Jim, what are your thoughts on how the show has evolved?
Well, first off, I'm in the same camp of it's grown on me over time, but I think it's gotten much, much better from where it began, partially because if I remember right, they have a lot of behind-the-scenes drama when the series first started out, which led to like inconsistencies in the scripts, if I remember right.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes of showrunners and what right through like the first and second seasons, I believe.
Yeah, and once that got straightened out, the storylines, although they still kept to the Michael Burnham is the center of the universe thing, which drives everyone crazy, as we can see by Rhea's reaction. But yeah, even though they still kept to that, I think the show has gotten much, much better once they started to realize, oh, we have a secondary bridge crew we can rely on from time to time. We don't have to rely on Michael all the time.
Yeah, you're right about that first season. It can be a little jarring because it's like, oh, the Klingon War and all the stuff around Burnham, and then all of a sudden, Mirror Universe arc, which I mean, kind of tied into what Lorca's story was and all that, and then we come out of that, and the Klingon War's kind of let's just wrap it up in an episode or two. It was very much the long way around. Jonathan, I mean, you kind of talked before about, you sort of started the discussion on, why it is so amazing that it heralded in this new era of Trek. But did it grow on you over time, or was it an instant classic for you?
I'd say I'd started off as cautiously optimistic. I remember when the show was announced, and they said Sonequa Martin Green's going to be the main star. She's going to be playing a character named Michael, and she's not going to be a captain. And I thought, okay, I think I know what they're trying to do here. And definitely have focused a lot on her character. And, some of these storylines have been a little bit all over the place, as you mentioned, but that's kind of true of all of Trek across the line. The stories do go a little bit in some crazy places. I think I've gotten what they've been trying to do with the show. At first I said, oh, they're trying to go after the conservatives who are going to immediately say this isn't Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And that has slowly played it up in various different ways. I mean, let's remember that Discovery is the first time we actually see a gay loving couple together in any kind of Star Trek. You get to see them as a normal couple going through normal couple things, as well as, the crazy things that happen with Star Trek as well. So I've been grateful for having Discovery around, paving the way. Has every moment been super entertaining? Not necessarily, but Discovery is one of those shows that's like a commitment, like going into Dune, right? You got to give it 3 hours, otherwise you're not really like giving enough of the story time to do what they're trying to tell you.
And I love that you mentioned, the first like queer representation in Trek. There was a lot of things that this show did first and did really well. And I know going into this as an out and proud gay man, knowing that they were going to do that, I was like, oh, please don't make this like really cringe and awful. And the first time when you realize that, that they are, like Stamets and Dr. Copper are a couple, it just is. Like, it's not this big like coming out or anything like that. Just that scene where they're brushing their teeth together was super, super cute.
It's sorry to interrupt you, but it's just like one of the most normal things that you don't ever see filmed. Mm-hmm. That is so important to show something like that, because we are just normal people doing normal things.
100%. Now, Ria, I want to direct this next question at you to get us started with, because I think you may have some opinions on this. So throughout its run, Discovery has explored the final frontier in various ways, including mirror universe, evil AIs, sentient starships, time travel, further into the future than we've ever been. But, and given that you're so fresh on your rewatch, going through these last 4 seasons, when do you feel Star Trek, Discovery has been Star Trek at its finest, and when has it fallen flat on its face a little bit for you?
Yeah. So I've come. You guys said we're talking about something earlier that made me realize, like, I watched Discovery all wrong, and maybe this is part of my problem. Is I'm not one that can sit and watch a TV show, and this is a concentration show. It's on in the background while I'm doing laundry, cooking, cutting my toenails, whatever. So maybe for the rest of my rewatch, I need to figure out how I can just sit and watch it, and maybe I'll appreciate it more. So that's something, I guess, for pack-leds like me. It's a little difficult to have to sit and focus on the show. But, some of the things in my rewatch, okay, in my commentary, maybe I've been a little harsh, because the one recurring thing where I think Discovery just falls flat on its face down a cliff into a gorge, to the center of the earth, is the worship of Michael Burnham. Michael Burnham as our Lord and Savior is just too much for me. But like season 1, I really enjoyed, except for that aspect. I didn't buy why Lorca would do all this just for Michael Burnham. And, Georgiou throughout the series, it's all for her. Mirror Georgiou, her love for Michael Burnham. No, Mirror people kill their children. So that's where the whole, and Michael, okay, I get what they're trying to do. Like Jonathan said, finally, we have a woman of color who's the lead character, and she's not a captain. I think Discovery failed at that, whereas Lower Decks succeeded tremendously at that, because they tried to make her more human than human, and more Vulcan than Vulcan, and more Klingon. And so that's, I think, where it falls flat. There are a lot of things where I think Discovery is spot on Trek-wise. Mm-hmm. And starting with a character, Saru. Saru is Starfleet. Mm-hmm. I've grown to love him even more and more, and the more we've learned about his backstory, and then to see him as captain, I think Saru is just like, he's the Starfleet poster child now, and after Una, I guess, put Saru on the posters. I enjoyed the trip to the Mirror Universe, and I agree with you. It was a little jarring in season 1 to go to the Mirror Universe, come back, and then wrap up the Klingon War and the whole season really quickly was all a little kind of forced. But I like that. I like that they're exploring some of these things. The evil AI with Control, the sentient AI with Zora. And remember, we had that short trek, Calypso, where it takes place, 1,000 years after Discovery lost her crew. So I really hope season 5 ties us into that. Going into the future, awesome. Wasn't necessarily in love with the future that they found. The whole burn thing makes my eyes roll. But then
most people's eyes roll at the burn, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. I've heard screaming children before that could probably destroy starships, but whatever. I get what they were going for. I just don't think it worked. And then season 4, we got the Species 10C. Okay, so my homework will be to sit and actually pay attention to the last half of season 4 and see, how much I like it. People seem to love what they've done with it. It didn't quite connect with me the first time around, so I'll try and be a good girl and pay attention.
Matt, I think you look like you've got something to say on all of this.
I think this could be a good survey question for the group. And I think, Rhea, there's one thing in terms of falling flat that you didn't mention, and I'm curious if other people agree with me. I'm sorry, the whole Ariam thing came in out of nowhere, and then it made every, what happened to Ariam happened. Yes, that was poignant for maybe 5 minutes, and then everyone was in all of this grief. And I'm like, where have you been? What have you done? I feel like something was majorly left on the cutting room floor that could have made us really get to know this character and appreciate her more. I liked starting, all they could do was start that backstory, into that character, which was pretty cool. But then poof, gone by self-sacrifice. That's it.
And you could tell something was going to happen, Ariam, because she had a real Tasha Yar moment in that episode. Because all of a sudden, where everyone's like, "Oh, we love you," and she's like front and center. Jonathan?
I still go with the theory on that. That they killed her because the actress didn't want to wear the makeup anymore, so they just gave her the new character that she plays now.
Jonathan, I think you had something you wanted to say there.
Yeah, so I think this is one of the issues that Discovery really struggled with for a while is all of the other, background characters, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, how far into the show do you go before you realize, like, I don't even know any of these characters' names? You're in season 2 and you're thinking, man, I don't even know what these characters' names are. But it also is, again, it's a different Trek for a different time. It's not, 26 episodes that we have where we can have these one-offs that we used to have in episodic TV where, we get to find out about this character and their backstory. And so I think they were trying to do a lot and got a lot of different information and that pulled them in different directions. As you talked about, there was some issues early on with different showrunners and everything. So I think it took them a while to figure out what they wanted to do. And then they realized, like, oh, wow, we have all these other people up there and no one knows what their names are. So let's start introducing them as quickly as we can.
I think there's a good... go, Peter, you go.
Yeah, and actually, I wanted, since we're kind of talking about this topic, that was actually one of my biggest areas of the show, which I couldn't connect with, was how the British crew and how some of the sort of secondary characters treated, because it's like after 4 seasons, we really don't know some of them, and the ones that we do know, they didn't stay there long, like Ariam I mentioned, and Commander Nhan, because we get to know her for a little bit, but then she left as well. So I think that was sort of the focus on the main cast in a way. Because of the shorter seasons and the 10 to 12 episodes, there's only a certain amount of time that can be devoted for, character development. So, the Data's Day type episode, wouldn't happen, or the In the Cards from DS9, those types of episodes that we would have time for wouldn't happen. So I hope, and it's like at the beginning of seasons 2, 3, and 4, my biggest wish actually was to get to know some of these British characters that I was hoping, maybe they'll do something. And I believe it was maybe season 4 in which they tried to do that a little bit, but they kind of gave them almost like exposition scenes in which they talk about their background. They talk about a key, event that would help them, solve the problem. But then it kind of stopped the momentum of the episode. So it was semi-successful. It gave Bryce and Reese some airtime, but yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with season 5, only because it's even shorter this year. I think like the 10 episodes, but that's. So
I just want to add on real quick to that. I think a missed opportunity is short treks came out during the era of Discovery. We could have had short treks for each of the characters, because even the few that we had that were related around Discovery were wonderful. You know, and they announced that they're not doing that anymore, but then they announced that they're doing very short treks, which are like TikToks or
don't go
something.
there.
I don't know what that is really. So
I still don't know what
that was
some of those
definitely a
are.
missed opportunity.
Matt?
Yeah.
Jonathan, you are completely right. Like, for example, the character of Poe, you know, who was started out in the short trek with Tilly, and then pops up, you know, towards the end of season 2. I don't know what her total screen time was. I'm sure it was probably less than 20 minutes. But I loved that character and was so glad to see her back. You know, there was I forget which one of the Discovery novels, you know, fleshes her out a bit more. It was absolutely great. So I completely agree that was a missed opportunity there with the not keeping up with the short treks.
Yeah,
And
Zora
she
was
was
the same
Zahian.
way.
Oh yeah, and we even got a Zahian in Picard because of that short trek. Sorry, Jim.
No, I'm fine. I was just saying Zora was also like Poe. We saw her first in the short treks, and then she popped up in the series, and believe it was late season 3.
So I think there's a good segue here into the next topic, and that is the cast. And you know, we're already sort of touching on this in terms of the characters, and I can remember saying when the show first started, you know, because there was that experiment around building it around a character who is not the captain, and I can remember saying to my friends at the time, I'm like, Michael's interesting, but I'm really more interested in the rest of the ensemble. Because the cast of characters were unlike anything that we've seen in Star Trek before. You know, whether you're talking about Michael, and I think Sonequa is actually amazing, and I love what she pours into the role, and I love what she pours into the fandom. But then you've got all the other things that were going on in the cast as well, like our openly gay characters. We've got a non-binary character as well. You know, the first time that, and you know, we're getting representation both on screen and off screen that Star Trek's never had. And until season 3, there was, you know, no consistent captain, and it'll be interesting to kind of get your thoughts on how they've rallied around Michael now as the permanent captain. But, you know, which characters really worked for you, and which ones really didn't? And we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but maybe let's focus on the characters that we did like. So someone mentioned Saru earlier. That was Rhea. Yeah. Peter, what about you? Like, what's one character you've really, really loved?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna vote number 2 for Saru. He's my favorite character from Discovery. I think, like Rhea said, I feel Saru, kind of embodies sort of that Star Trek archetype of characters. Someone who's at the beginning, we learn about his fear and being afraid, and then slowly, he kind of gets away from that, and he's able to be braver, stronger, and that. So I think he was the character that is my favorite. And I think it was a short trek which kind of developed his backstory more, one of the earlier ones. So I think that was good. So I think Saru's probably after. I think Tilly, I enjoyed Tilly, kind of seeing that cadet, ensign, someone who's starting her career in Starfleet, and the uncertainty, or also a little bit of a fear of just not sure where her place is, and then having her grow into that role, and being friends with Michael, and with being like I think what was it, season 3, when she was like first officer for Saru during part of the season, so kind of develop her command experience. Although in the beginning I wasn't sure. Oh, there's a lot of other lieutenants and lieutenant commanders there. I said, how did an ensign get in? But I said, okay, I won't think too much about that. So, but I think I enjoyed Tilly. I was a little sad when she kind of stepped away in season 4, but I'm hoping with the Academy that, and also with season 5 and with the Academy later, that we'll see more of Tilly. So
well, she's on the poster, so there are a lot of characters who aren't on the poster. So I wonder what you think of Saru's yeah, because Saru's character has evolved. Like, so he was that very, nervous character to sort of start with, as because of the whole hunter-prey kind of vibe going on Saru's home planet. But then when he lost his threat ganglia, the character kind of evolved. And at first he kind of became a little too confident, but then he's kind of slipped back into this more very sort of peaceful Zen-like character. And Ria, as a big fan of Saru, how have you found that evolution?
Of course, I like to see him grow like that. Again, the way that they handled the whole Bahari, and it seemed a little ham-fisted, but it was cool to see him, in attack mode, spraying those little darts out. He's kind of, when you said he's become a more Zen version, it made me think of Worf in Picard season 3.
Yeah, a little bit.
Gone from the warrior to the peaceful
chamomile tea.
So looking forward to seeing. And actually, there was a scene in season 4 when they're investigating the DME, and Saru, as Michael's first officer, suggests to her that at this point in time we need to withdraw. The risk is too great, whatever. And she actually listened to him, and I think that was a nice development for both of them. Even Michael, actually listening to somebody else. Of course, love seeing Saru. But there's so many, there are so many characters I really loved in Discovery. Absolutely love Stamets and Culber together, but really love Culber. The male casting throughout the series has been fabulous. I mean, Ash Tyler, Book. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I love Harry Mudd. As a TOSer, I love Rainn Wilson's Harry Mudd. No, there have been so many great, of course, Pike, Spock, Una. As harsh as I am in my recaps, there have really been some fabulous characters that have come out.
Yeah, and you mentioned Culper there. I mean, I love Culper, and I love Wilson Cruz as a human being, by the way. Because I follow him on all the socials, and he's just, I think he resonates with me because we're so aligned politically and socially. But on the show as well, I love that there's characters like Culper and all that who, and the show has been criticized for this a little bit, but I think it's great because there is a lot of open and vulnerable discussion around mental health and the fact that, hey, we went 1,000 years into the future and it's kind of gotten under our skins a little bit and we're not quite right. And that's always been really, really touching. I think Culper all of a sudden becoming the therapist was, and the show does that, right? It's like he's dabbling in it one episode and then he's just the counselor the next episode. But sure.
He was dead one episode. Now he's alive. Now
and that was a bit of a misstep for me. Like they really got they really got raked over the coals for the, what are they called?
That was
the bury your
gaze
moment. Yeah. Matt.
I think something that kind of helped with that, and thinking about Rhea going back to Burnham being the center of the universe, was, speaking of a different character that I've really liked, Kovich. Kovich was a good mirror for and called out, Burnham's complexes. I think it was either him or Rillick. Did the same thing with Culber. Anytime someone needed that sounding board, that splash of cold water in the face to really stop and think, I think they used his character for that, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Jim, what about you? Who've been your standout characters?
Oh, well, one would definitely be Kovich because, like when we see the guy, you don't know, is he a spy? Is he a diplomat? What is he? And then we find out he's just a counselor. And he's brilliantly played by David Cronenberg, to boots. But my absolute favorite, and I'm surprised he hasn't been mentioned yet, Admiral Vance. When he was first introduced, I'm sure everyone in this chat and every Star Trek fan was like, please don't be another bad admiral, please don't be another bad admiral, please don't be another bad admiral. And so far he hasn't been, which is why I love the character so much, because he's been a straight by the book admiral.
Yeah, like a proper authoritative, respectable leader. They've still got 10 episodes for for him to do a complete 180 on that.
Yeah, exactly. No, but respectable leader. He'll make the right choice for the moment. He doesn't care which way it goes, just as long as it's the right decision, and that's it.
A good Merle.
Yeah, I like that, Rhea. Good Merle.
And Jonathan, what about you?
I think Discovery has had some of the best villains that we've got to see. Like, so Lorca, doesn't start off as a villain, and then you realize it's Mir Lorca. Like, that's a great one. And I know some people are driven crazy about this, but this is what Star Trek's always been about, is that Star Trek's trying to tell the story about right now, today, by putting it in the future. And so when they have villains that are, loosely based on, like, the Elon Musk, Ryzian that we see, like that, I think that is just very well done because, again, it's trying to tell these complicated stories. So, like, even just going there, like, that character is making some really bad decisions, just as we've seen, like, his real life counterpart has made some really bad decisions, but that doesn't also mean that everything that they've done previously is terrible either.
Now, it's been a while since I've watched it, but I never got that Elon Musk link. Is that your interpretation, or is that something that they've actually said is how they base that character?
I don't know that I've heard them say that, but I thought that was generally picked up by everybody, that this guy was like no. I immediately saw, because they kept the way that they referred to him and had him play off and talk with certain folks. I immediately thought, like, oh, they're doing, future Elon Musk.
Apart from Lorca praising him as one of the greats in the first season.
Well, so that actually is like a great little inside part. So is that like evidence that Lorca is the Mir Lorca, or is that, someone had told me, I don't know if this is true, that Elon Musk paid $1 million to have a version of that line inserted into the script.
I would imagine he'd pay more.
Wouldn't put it past.
I mean, I could see Paramount doing that. I could totally see Paramount saying, yes, we'll take $1 million and include a line there. I don't know if that's true, but I have heard that.
It's maybe because Netflix put up a lot of money in the first season and they weren't really getting it back, so maybe they took that money on. I've just sort of pointed out in the chat, Ica has just mentioned 3 characters, one in particular who I don't think we've talked about yet. Now, they've said Saru, Book, and Grudge. Now, Grudge is probably one of the most underutilized characters in all of Star Trek.
Amen.
Do we have any Grudge fans amongst us today?
Better way to say it would be, who isn't a Grudge fan, because they think all Trek fans are Grudge fans.
I don't really like cats.
You're not a cat person? You're a cat.
I'm not a cat person either, Rhea, but all hail Queen Grudge.
I love that in the beginning of the 4th season, where she's like, she's a queen, and they're like, you keep a deity locked up or whatever it was. Sorry,
that was
Rhea.
Hilarious. Oh, just another character that we haven't mentioned yet. Of course, my future descendant, Captain Giorgio, getting her own series. I think a lot of people have been fond of her.
Go, Matt.
So I'm curious about this. Michelle Yeoh kind of flew below the radar for me for many years until Giorgio. Does anyone know if her portrayal of Giorgio, thinking about the timeline of when things were shot and aired, like season 2, when she was amazing, badass with all the fight scenes and everything, was Discovery a springboard for her to Everything Everywhere All at Once?
My understanding is yes.
I've just wondered that. Yeah.
My understanding on that is yes.
I know that
I heard her say that it was originally offered to Jackie Chan, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he didn't want to do it. And so they approached her, and she's like, yes, absolutely. I want to do more of this action stuff. I've been trying to get into more of it. And then apparently after it was filmed, Jackie Chan was a a jerk about it, and so like he's not on the fun list anymore. But that is my understanding, is that she only got into that because of her work on Discovery, and then that's obviously opened up doors for her. I mean, when she won the award, I thought, well, this means we're definitely not getting her in any more Star Trek. And she was given the option to not have to do the Section 31 movie, and she was the one who pushed that forward. She said, no, I absolutely want to do this. I want to make this happen, and I want to do more action scenes that are led by a woman.
That's my great granddaughter for you. So proud.
You just have to love the way she chews the scenery at any time she's on camera as well. But like, it's always done just enough. Like, not so much that she's upstaging everyone around her as people who chew the scenery tend to do. But yeah, Matt, I feel you're laughing there. You've got a thought on this.
With one exception.
Oh yes.
And I love it because it was so over the top. The eye flickering at the hollow in season 3, which that was so bananas, but she owned it. She destroyed that scene. It was so great, but it was nuts. Completely nuts.
we could probably devote an entire hour to favorite JoJo scenes, but
yes,
I want to pivot now to what's to come. So we are now on the precipice of the show's final season. One that was made final, after they finished shooting. So there wasn't necessarily that intention. So that's forced months worth of reshoots to no doubt make sure we get a satisfying conclusion. Also, as a result, we've had literally years of teasers, trailers, and leaks about what to expect from the crew's final adventure. We know that there is a big focus on some sort of epic journey. Like, I get some Indiana Jones kind of, 80s adventure film kind of vibes from the trailers. We know that there is a link to TNG through the discovery of a Romulan scout ship from the TNG era. But what do we all think is going to happen? And not just that, but what would we like to see from the final season? Now, that's a big question. So instead of me throwing to someone who... Jim, you want to go first. Hand went straight up.
Robert Picardo on Discovery. Let's see the Doctor's backup program get back from the Delta Quadrant.
Yes.
Nice. I like it.
Love that. I mean, there seems to be an intent to want to link it somehow back to the Trek we know and love. Because I mean, that's clearly worked quite well with the final season of Picard, is to bring that back. What do we... Does anyone have a theory? Now, Matt, I know that you apparently have some tidbits that you think may be more on the leak side that you maybe don't want to share, but can I go to...
Well,
I'll go, Matt, yeah.
Oh, well, I'll put it this way. Something was shared with me, kind of like a leading hint that caused me to guess, a gesture to say, yeah, you might be on the right track with this guess. And I went back, you mentioned Davey, to TNG, to the particular guess in question, and I still don't see it. So this hint that's been thrown my way, there must be it went back to one of my favorite TNG episodes of all time, which I will keep to myself. But if they can pull this forward, this TNG episode and the theme of it, I'll be really impressed in a good way, because it's one of the themes that I feel was one of my favorite. I'll just say it's later in TNG favorite themes that was left unexplored.
Interesting.
I wonder if
I wish not unexplored, but I wish could have gone further. Excuse me. Yeah, so I'll tease with that, but I don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah.
Okay. Rhea, what do you think?
I have a theory, and I'm going to watch Matt's face as I share this. But first, I do have to point out that the new baddie in this season is played by Elias Toufexis, who's Greek Canadian. So just so we know that. But my theory is that, and based on the trailer, really, is that it's kind of an extension of the TNG episode The Chase. Looking at Matt's face here. I'm not seeing any response.
You shouldn't
Note
have
to
told
self,
him that
don't
you
play
were going to look
poker
at his
with Matt.
face because now he's going all
Okay.
deadpan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of get used to David.
You're
that
trying to
Indiana
disrupt your
Jones thing.
hologram.
Yeah, kind of the Indiana Jones thing
Yeah,
there.
right.
Where do you think my great granddaughter learned it? Something about the origins of the, kind of the relatedness of all the different alien species, and that's where that Romulan ship comes in. So that's kind of my theory. Where do I want to see the characters end up? I do want to see Burnham out of Starfleet. It doesn't have to be disgraced. It's not the place for her. I do want to see Book without his shirt on, and also Culber without his shirt on.
There's like one big like theory about what the show's going to happen then, and then just all the shirtless people I'd like to see.
This is an Enterprise, okay?
Yeah,
They're keeping the shirt on. They're not rubbing the lotion.
Although
I
I
have
can't
no idea what's
surprised
going
me
to
that you
happen.
brought up wanting to see Book with the shirt off, though.
Go, Jonathan.
Well, I was going to say, I have no idea what's going to happen. I just hope it's not going to be another, oh, it's surprise, it's the Borg again. Because that is getting a little old. As much as I love the Borg and think there are still a million stories to be told, surprise, it's the Borg again is not, I think, what the ending any of us want.
Mm-hmm.
Agree. What about you, Peter? What are your theories, and what do you want to see?
I think what I want, actually, what I don't want to see is kind of like that quadrant or galaxy ending event that we had in especially in season 3 and 4, or potential events. So we had these, big cataclysmic events. I actually wanted to almost have like a smaller scale, and this goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, kind of almost like a smaller scale adventure. And I couldn't tell from I've actually kind of avoided the trailers and the teasers as much as possible, because I wanted to sort of be surprised when they're watching it. So it seems to be maybe a little bit less, such a big event. So I'm hoping it would be a chance to kind of explore the Alpha Quadrant from the during the 32nd century. I think we got pockets of it in the last couple of seasons, but again, given 10 episodes, it's not a whole lot. But I wanted to kind of explore a little bit more of the different planets and how the Federation is at that time. So I'm hoping we can see that. And then the two smaller things I hope that we can see, I think as mentioned before, a tie into Calypso, because that's actually my favorite short track. So I really want to see that. And I wanted to see Sahil, who was the remember in season 3, he was the person, was it Sahil, I think his name was. He was the gentleman who Burnham met at the beginning and met at the end of the season. He kind of kept the spirit of the Federation alive over the decades. I think his name was Sahil, and we only got like two episodes with him, and the last one was more of a cameo. So I hope they would at least bring him back a little bit, because he's actually, given the screen time, he was actually one of my favorite characters, especially the tail end of the last 2 seasons of Discovery. So so we'll see. Yeah.
I think Iker in the chat definitely agrees with you. Iker has said that they would like more storyline on how the Federation was reestablished, but thinks that maybe we passed a bit of that in season 4. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that kind of pans out a little bit. And one of the things I want to make sure happens, right, is someone said to me the other day, Discovery poses a big question at the beginning of each season. What is the Red Angel? What was the burn? What is the DMA, right? And for most people, it's been very, again, as the show has always been, very polarizing on whether the conclusion to those big questions was satisfying or not. So to that point, whatever this big question is, whatever we're on the mission for in this final season, please please give us a plausible and sad. I mean, it's sci-fi, but plausible can be all kinds of things. But a conclusion that just makes us go, love that. It's very. I mean, that's a very airy fairy kind of thing to say, right? Like, because what I find satisfying, other people may not. I know, for example, I actually quite liked the conclusion to season 4. I thought the big, doing the communication misunderstanding between species from different galaxies, whilst a little cliche, I thought is also a very Star Trek reasoning as to why this could be happening. So, what do we not want to see? Jonathan kind of touched on this a little bit already by saying, for the love of God, please don't let it be the Borg. Jim, what do you not want to see?
I think Rhea can agree with me on this. Please don't let it be Michael Burnham saving the entire universe and being the central key figure of the entire season.
Oh, Rhea, I guess you agree with that?
I can agree with that for sure. I also don't want to hear the phrase "my brother" in reference to Spock, because he is not your brother. Yeah, but I'm with you, Davey. I want a satisfying conclusion to whatever mystery, and in this case, a satisfying, where does the whole cast go? Like the fact that they went back and reshot the ending, I'm cautiously optimistic that they did a good job. So, yeah. And I want to see a lot of Elias Toufexis because he's Greek.
What about you, Matt?
I'm hoping we see a transition of Tilly going over to the Academy permanently, and that'll be the start of the Academy series.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, anything you're kind of hoping doesn't happen?
I do hope we get. Doesn't happen. Okay. Doesn't. I mean, I'm all for introducing new characters, but knowing that this is the final season, although it wasn't the final season when it was written or shot, we have these three new characters who will be, from the trailers, who will be introduced. I hope that they don't take up so much oxygen that it prevents our main cast from getting the ending that they deserve. Because, knowing that Discovery is the show of tears, I want a 6 Feet Under level finale.
Ooh.
Final sequence, which for me, that's one of my most epic finales of all time. And I mean, that's a tall order, to try to be in that ballpark, but I think Discovery stands a shot.
I don't know if Sia's got a song that's appropriate for the ending of Discovery, but we'll see. Rhea, you've got something to say there.
I was going to say, you don't want Riker in the holodeck, then? Is that what you're saying?
Definitely not.
Imagine if they did that, though. Imagine just as a, it would almost be.
It would piss off so many people. It would piss off so many people, Davey.
But it would almost.
It would be a love letter to Star Trek.
Exactly, it would almost be perfect, right? Like if it was just, it was just Riker fantasizing about what the 31st
It would definitely be a long road getting from there to here. That's for sure. Then.
I mean, we did have a series finale of Enterprise, season finale of Picard season 1. And then season finale of Lower Deck season 2 or something.
I feel like if we were going to get Jonathan Frakes in there, we would already know about it. Just because he's already, he's been in Next Generation, he's been in Voyager, he's been in Lower Decks. I don't think we're going to get him in Discovery at all. I would think that would be a hilarious way for them to do that. I just don't see it happening.
Thomas Riker. Fresh out of the Cardassian prison camp.
Peter, anything that's when you're thinking about this season, anything that's coming to mind for you that you're just like, oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. What are your thoughts there?
I think kind of before what I said about the the type of story. So I just didn't want. I hope they don't do that kind of like repeat the style of seasons 2, 3, and 4 of making it, kind of like those big big events. But I think given that it's season 5, I think, and also the last season, I think in general I'm almost kind of like open to pretty much accepting everything, because it is going to be the last hurrah for this cast and crew. So I think sort of like take it in, kind of appreciate it. I don't know if we're going to get whatever the future Star Trek will be. It will be something different than what the Discovery has been. So I know we kind of like has every show has its good and bad points, but I think we'll sort of appreciate Discovery more. I think similar to Enterprise, like in Enterprise, when it ended, there was controversy about the show itself. I think it's kind of gotten some more and more appreciation over the years, and I think Discovery may end up having that same type of experience within the fandom. So
I think
so
I think whatever happens, I think we can all probably agree that we are going to be in for a very interesting ride over the next 10 weeks. Now, that's all the time we have for our discussion today. I want to thank you all, fabulous BQN network patrons, for joining for the first publicly broadcast hive mind discussion of Let's Fly. We will be back every week at the same time to recap the most recent episode all throughout the final season. You are all welcome to rejoin me on those episodes, and to our other patrons out there as well. Keep a look out in your Patreon messages. You will get the Zoom link, and you are welcome to come and join in on the discussion. And to our lovely viewers out there on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to get notified when new episodes go live. I want to thank you all for your participation today and the robust discussion. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you as well to our live audience in the chat. I've seen some great discussion happening in there. And just remember, if you are not a patron member and you would like an opportunity to join us live here on the panel, you can do so by just spending $1 and becoming a BQN network patron over at patreon.com/BQN. We will be back next week. So until then, next week we're going to be, it's a double episode for the finale. So, sorry, not the finale, the the premiere of the finale. So we'll be back next week to discuss Red Directive and the Twin Moons. Until then, please make sure that you live long and prosper, and peace out, everyone.